Good afternoon. You're listening to the Mother's Justice Show on 11:50 a.m. KKNW. It's my joy to be on the air. I'm your host, Rem Walden. We were out last Monday. We were down at the Capitol for Black African American Legislative Day. Charles Rowling African American Legislative Day. We had a great time down there, and so Mr. Rye had not been on for a while to give us an update in this fabulous month of our history that we can flaunt it any way we want to. How you doing, Mr. Rye? Good to
I'm
see
doing
you.
just fine, Reverend Harriett, and it's good to see you again. We sat together last Monday for the Charles Rowland African American Legislative Day.
Yes, we did.
A lot of good information was transpired to us, but I think that hopefully in the future we'll be able to organize some caravans like we did when we got
Before.
the McKinney Center for Community and Economic Development through Representative Santos' sponsorship, the House Bill 1918, which
Yes,
created the pathway to have that building returned to the Black community.
right.
So, and she was the sole sponsor on that one too. So, and it
Yes.
passed the House and the Senate unanimously.
And that's unusual.
Yeah,
Yes, it
no,
is.
it really is. So, she,
Hmm.
her former husband, Bob Santos, worked very closely with the
Right.
Black community. And that leads me to the next item, and that is because Bob Santos was such a good friend of the Maxey family. And Peggy Joan Maxey passed away last Sunday,
Oh, okay.
and she was the first African American woman elected to the state house, to the legislature,
Yeah.
in 1971. And in 1971, well, I just want to say that the Santos and Maxey family were very, very close. So I want to make sure that I gave that a shout out. But the other thing is that in 1971, there was a all Black legislative district from the 37th.
That's right. It was. It was a mighty 37th. Mighty.
It was George Fleming was the senator. Peggy Joan Maxey was the state rep, and on the other side was a Republican by the name of Michael K. Ross.
Right.
And it was a different. He was like an Art Fletcher Republican, kind of different, but he was one of the people that strategized and led protests and demonstrations with Tyree Scott to get equity for blacks in the building trade union. So Michael was one of the leaders of the shutdown of the SeaTac airport. And while Michael was doing all this here, Representative Maxey was the one to send the meetings, but Michael kept her informed of what they were going to be doing because he knew the press was going to be going right to Senator Fleming and to Representative Maxey to get an update. But Michael and Tyree were astute enough to make sure that both of them, at least both of them, knew what was happening and the
Right.
purpose that was happening. So
Right.
a lot of times the media would try to turn Representative Maxey against what Michael Ross was doing, but they were in for a lesson because she was saying, if he's doing it, it must be done. Do you have a better solution? And naturally, she had the master's in social work and she knew people and knew how to play the game. She had been around for a long time. She will be funeralized at a Saturday, this coming Saturday. The rosary will be at 9:30. The funeral mass will be at 11 o'clock at the Immaculate Conception Church. And Representative Maxey graduated from Immaculate High School when it was open for young ladies back in the day. So
Well, now, was she a two-term? Because I came in 75.
no,
So
she
was
was
she?
here between 71 and 83.
Oh, I mean, so she stayed in the house that long?
Yes,
Really? Or from 70 what? 71 to
71 to 83.
Oh, okay. So and so what's his name? Eric Pettigrew is the next longest then. I mean, because she was the first longest, but oh wow. I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah,
It's
so
always good to learn something. I knew of her, but I mean, I never met. I can say I never met her personally that I remember. Yeah.
uh, yeah, so no, she passed some monumental legislation, landlord tenant act stuff.
Really?
Yeah, she passed some very monumental legislation, and like I said, she ended up with the master. She was 70. It was 71 to 82. I take that back.
Oh, 71 to
1 to
82. Okay.
82. Yeah,
Yeah, to 82.
and she passed, for example, she sponsored the Landlord Tenant Act, the Displaced Homemaker Act.
Really?
She was one of the founders of Women in Unity, and she was quite busy during her tenure. She had been ill for the past couple of years, but for the
Mhm.
past year anyway, because last year the Martin Luther King Commemoration Continuation Committee honored her with an award, and I can't remember if it was the Black History Month or August 28th, But anyway, we were so happy that we were able to pay tribute to her for the work that she had done over the years. And the 37th district, is it doesn't look like it used to.
Oh no, it doesn't even have the power. It doesn't even have the weight. I mean, because
Yeah.
really and truly, I mean, that what happened to Chakundi when the 37th man should have never happened. He was a POC, and the way that they treated him, man, it was something. I mean, you could tell what happens when other people move in, and how they
Well,
take. Yeah.
we can
Go ahead.
take this right down to the governor's office, Reverend Walden, because when you see the fact that, and you heard last week, Earl Key, the diversity manager for EEOC manager for Washington Department of Transportation, said they exceeded their goal with African Americans, that they did 1.2%.
Well, yeah, I
And
didn't know he should have been embarrassed to say that. I
and the
mean, really and
goal,
truly.
but not only that, the goal is 1%. But I guess when you look at 0.18 in 2021, 0.22,
But could-
and I'm saying the thing about it is that we've been begging Attorney General Merrick Garland to investigate.
yeah.
Congressman Benny Thompson asked him, Congressman Adam Smith, Marilyn Strickland, Senator Patty Murray, and they said, Merrick Garland said, we had moved your racial discrimination complaint to the Department of Transportation. And I had a chance in 2022, after Congresswoman Joyce Beatty's reception, she was chair of the Black Caucus then, to have a face-to-face conversation with Pete Buttigieg. I said, look, Merrick Garland sent you this complaint over 7 months ago, and nothing's been said. We sent another letter in October with the national president, Wendell Stimley, and Bob Armstead, our president of the Washington chapter of the National Association of Minority Contractors, sent another letter, and Merrick Garland said the same thing. We had copies of Benny Thompson's letter, Senator Patty Murray's letter, Congresswoman Marilyn Strickland's letter, Congressman Adam Smith's letter. And they sent it back. Well, we've let them know that it's went to Department of Transportation. It's so pitiful right now that the Department of Transportation is allowing the white prime contractors to name who their inclusion manager is going to be. And they've named a firm out of Denver, Colorado, not from here. And if they have the contract with the prime contractor, they're going to do whatever the prime contractor tells them to do. So we're going to be going back to Congressman Adam Smith and Senator Patty Murray and Congresswoman Marilyn Strickland, asking them, how can we ever get equity? That's why we have a 1% goal, because they don't intend on treating us fairly.
Well, that's right. They don't intend to. But I wanted to know, have we ever isolated how much taxes Black people pay in the state of Washington, or what would it look like to get our fair share? Just a what's point, just a 0% I mean, is that all we pay? I mean, is that so-called equity for us?
we got to go much back further than that. We got to talk about reparations.
Well, yeah, that's what I was getting
ready
to
to talk
say.
about, if we're not included now, how are we going to legitimately talk about reparations when
Well, yeah.
when we've been discriminated against in contracting and other opportunities, and when we have individuals like Stephen Miller and Ed Bloom doing everything they can to deny Black people opportunities. And the thing about it, they need to look at their history, because Black soldiers with the real Black Panthers, the 761st Tank Battalion, the 183rd other battalion, they freed Jews from concentration camps.
But they're not interested in that.
My friends at the Anti-Defamation League, when will you talk to Ed Bloom and Stephen Miller about targeting Black people from having opportunities? Black people who've been here 400 years, died in every war. Freed some of your people, okay?
Well, some of but the group that you just mentioned, they spied on Black people for the FBI. The defamation, they spied on us for the FBI. So
well, all I'm saying is they folks need to get right with African descendants of the United States enslaved who built this joint for free. And you talk about preference. How can 244 years of slavery, 160 years of Jim Crow, fighting in segregated units, and as a matter of fact, 3 Black folks just died the other day, last month or earlier this month, but being only in a position to protect Israel. So
I tell you what, you know what? I'm going to refer you to the Confederate Constitution, written in 1861. It says that unlike the other Constitution, the Confederate Constitution says that the Negro is subordinate and will always be subordinate to the white man, and will to the white race, and will be a slave forever. So, and they said every state that was part of the Confederate agreed to the fact that we would be there subordinate forever. And
looking at these unions, look like the northern states also adopted that, especially up here in the Northwest. where a black man helped founded the state. His
Well,
son
but
served in the first legislature. Owen Bush, George Washington Bush, helped found the state, and we still get treated like
well,
third class citizens.
but when this Constitution was written in 1861, Washington State was still a territory. So
Exactly.
okay, it was a
And Oregon
territory.
was a territory, and the
That's
only
right.
reason
So
why
so we
George
have to we
Washington
have to we
Bush,
have to get it right. And some of those
yeah, the
people
only reason why
migrated.
George Washington Bush made the right at the Columbia River instead of the left, because if you went to Oregon territory, you had to be a slave.
Well, but also some of those people migrated out here and they brought all that with them. But in 1861, this was a territory if it was a territory, because it
Yes,
didn't become a state till 1889. Washington
right.
State did not
And
become
Owen
a.
Bush was a member of that legislature
That's
and
right.
sponsored
That's
the
right. That's
legislation
right.
to create Washington State College,
But
which is now Washington State University.
But before we go out, before we end for the day, I want to ask you, how could 1918 help us in all of this? Because if they colluded to run us out of the central area and colluded to make sure that we didn't have anything, then it looked like the collusion is still going on with the Department of that you're talking about right now. Look like to me the collusion is still going on. So how can we go back to what the governor signed and use that as a leverage to say that the collusion is still going on?
We're going to have to go to the feds. It's not going to happen at the local level. I'm still waiting for a group of African American legislators, the Black Members Caucus, to step up. I'm waiting for the Minority Members Caucus to step up. But because they're all Democrats, we're going to have to go back to Washington, D.C. to really get justice. It's not going to happen here. Everybody knows about what happened in 2021 and what 2022 and what happened in 2023. And the fact is that we are being discriminated against wholesale. And anytime you have a situation set up where one person is going to be responsible on who's going to be included, and you look at these numbers, they're dismal. And like I said, how can we talk about reparations when they're fighting us to be included right now? So
Well,
we really got.
before, as we end for the day, one of the places where you and I, we agree in a lot of places, but I think our next level is boycott. I think it's time to take all our money out the system and let these people know what kind of financial power we have. I mean,
I'm waiting for your plan, Reverend Harriet. I'm waiting
well,
for
you
you.
know what? I'm going to put a plan together
All
because it's
right.
been done before.
Oh,
And
yes,
it can be
yes.
done again because now we're not beholden to them. We just give all our money to them. That's all.
Well, when they have that system structured, they make sure you can't stay in business, and we know about that.
Well, but if we did something like that, it would be another game for us. I mean, we spend more. We're what is the sixth largest country. If we put all our money together, I mean, before COVID, was sixth largest country with our GDP, with the amount of money that we have that goes through our hand. We're not poor people. We make poor choices with our money.
Well, you
And
know
the
what,
data.
Reverend Harriet, you're absolutely right. And what we need to also do is talk to the Department of Financial Institutions and the Black Members Caucus about having a black bank. That's the other thing we need to have, so the money have somewhere to go.
Well, we got one. It's the Black Bank of North Carolina. It's been around for over 100 years and it's solvent.
I'm talking about
Uh,
in Washington State. I'm talking about
Okay.
in
Oh,
Seattle area.
Washington State. Well, I'm
Yeah,
just saying,
yeah.
yeah. I think it's another black bank in Los Angeles. I don't know the
Yeah,
name of
no,
it, but
there's a savings and loan and a bank, but we
that's
need
right.
one here, right here in Martin Luther King Jr. County.
Okay. Well, Mr. Rye, as always, it's always interesting and always good to have you on. So good to see you. And we'll talk again real soon.
Okay, Reverend
Right.
Harriet,
Thank you.
thank you very much for the
Thank you.
opportunity.
You're
Appreciate it.
welcome. We'll listen to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 a.m. KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden. I'll be right back. Thank you for listening, folks. We love you.
The Mother's Justice Show is brought to you by H.G. Walden and the Virtues Healing Circles. Join us for Wisdom and Wellness with Reverend Walden, a monthly virtual and in-person healing circle that focuses on community healing and growth. Learn more at virtueshealing.com. That's virtueshealing.com. Also, be sure to join our healing group on Facebook. Again, visit us at virtueshealing.com today.
Everyone has a community, a neighborhood, school, kids' teams, where you worship, work out, or any other place or group where you choose to belong. Communities can provide support when you need it, and even when you don't know you do. Like when it comes to preventing underage drinking and other substance use. Community members can be your eyes and ears when you're not with your kids and alert you to signs of potential problems.
Conversation you won't find on the rest of the dial. Alternative Talk 1150.
Good afternoon. You're listening to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 a.m. KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden. It's my joy to be on there. And I like that song. I mean, because it's those songs that kept us here. It's these songs that keep us going. Because my next guest is going to come on. This is Dr.Orisade Awodola. She is I absolutely a fantastic human being. She's been doing work about ancestral healing, ancestor centered ancestral healing, and she's written a book. I mean, it's going to be a conference, but it's a book about the seasoning process. Mr. Rye mentioned it. He talked about it, but it's just to get down into what this is. Oh, I mean, every breath I take, I'm grateful for my ancestors. How you doing, Dr. Reese, today?
I'm doing well, and how are you?
Oh, I'm good today. I'm good. So good to have you on the show, and I just want to appreciate your work because you're the queen of this, okay? Because nobody else in America was doing this but you. And then I mean, because people, but we've been we've been taught shame or stuff like that. There ain't no shame on us. We didn't steal ourselves. Somebody else stole us.
Yeah,
and we
that's
didn't,
right.
and we didn't do all this stuff to ourselves.
Right.
And so I mean, I started reading some of your book today. I had it in my car, and I brought it here at the office today. And just the few little pages. I mean, the page that got me stumped.
Yeah.
Ooh, Lordy, got me praying and groaning like the old folks was talking about Nat Turner and what
Yeah.
happened to Nat Turner. Honey, I had to go straight to Africa in some kind of prayer.
Yeah.
I had to just go somewhere because well, I'm gonna let you tell it. But you know what, I'm so I'm in a different place today, and I've been thinking about the African mother of civilization that gave life not only to us but the world. You say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And that energy, because sometimes you need a mother to comfort you. And
That's
after I read this by Nat Turner, I had to call on the mother
right.
to comfort me, but to comfort my spirit. I
Yeah.
need to call on the mother
Right.
because sometimes it's so deep that you need the mother to rock you. Because
Yes.
I had to hug myself. And then when I held myself in this video from Dr. Mandel about touching yourself and hugging yourself, I hugged myself all the way back to that first mother that came to the continent, came to North America
Mm-hmm.
against her will.
Yes.
And I sent it all the way back through all the way back. I wanted that hug. I wanted that love to just, But anyway, I'm in another mood right now. I've shifted. So,
I see.
I am because it's breathtaking in a different kind of way. The brutality
Yes.
that was done I mean, breathtaking beauty takes your breath away, and
Right.
it heals your body, and it makes you feel good to go see the tulips and all of that color. I mean, so it's more than one way to take your breath away. But this is the amount of violence. It's more than I can comprehend. So please go right ahead with your research in your book and
Yeah.
tell us who you are and what you're doing and yes.
Well, I think I want to begin. The book is named Africa Centered Ancestral Healing.
Yes, ma'am.
And towards the end of this interview, I'll say why. But in picking up on what you read about Nat Turner, Dr. His name was Vincent Maurice Woodard. He's no longer with us. However, he wrote a book called The Delectable Negro and The Black Male Womb, Slavery, Homoeroticism, and 19th Century Racial Uplift. His book was sparked by Frederick Douglass because Frederick Douglass said that one of the greatest things on the plantation, he said, slavery is a living entity already crimson with the blood of millions. And even now, the oppressor is feasting itself greedily upon our flesh. Now, my specialization is research in mental health. My background is clinical psychology. And I chose to do cultural psychology where I created a discipline called root psychology, and that's where Africa-centered ancestral healing comes in. It is to bridge the gap between science and spirituality, because as African people, I don't use the name Black, Afro-American, African-American. Those are just terms that continue to divide us, and especially in the field of mental health. So the reason I put that in the book about the sacrifice of human life, we don't understand how rampant cannibalism was on the plantation. It was. And for every person that used the MF word, we don't realize that that word was when the slave owner, because I don't consider them master anything.
No, that's right.
A burlap bag over the young Black male's head and had him have sex with his mother. And that was their title was MFers. Oh, go get an MFer for her. Could be sister or aunt, anything. Because by what they looked at was breeding.
Right.
And then that would get them top dollar.
Right.
And it would get them top dollar. And I say that because there is a legal document called The Speech of Henry Berry.
Oh, yes. Henry Berry, yes.
True. And this was the legislation in Virginia. And the gentleman from Petersburg, Virginia said, the law now is that the children of slaves shall be slaves to the mother's owner. But will it be considered that this law can never be altered? It is perpetual, with no necessity to justify a change. The gentleman from Petersburg estimated the value of the present stock of slaves in Virginia is $1 million, and asked triumphantly, what equivalent shall we receive for all this wealth? In other words, he said, how can we make that kind of money any other kind of way?
Right.
Except off their backs.
Right. Right.
And so the conference that's coming up March 16th, it's called the Africa-Centered Ancestral Healing Conference.
Right.
We're going to have Black psychologists, myself included, and others. Dr. Dwight Hopkins, who is the director at the University of Chicago School of Theology and Seminary, talk about, he's going to talk about Black liberation theology.
Yes.
And that's for our people that don't embrace African spirituality,
right?
Because we are so entrenched in the church. And that's okay, because we need all of it. We need all of it. However, when people are dismissive about, what really happened, and even then that person becomes the spokesperson, just like you have, I saw this on the news and Reverend Al Sharpton talked about it. And he may not be one of my favorite people, but he's true to the mission. And he said, this guy on the you know how they do those little film clips, he had a t-shirt on. It said, niggas for Trump. Did you hear what I said? He said that t-shirt said, niggas for Trump. And I'm wondering, you're in South Carolina.
Don't know what him.
You don't know what happened, but for some reason, it's a dismissive. You can dismiss the African slave trade, the 1619 Project, critical race theory, but you don't dismiss the Holocaust.
No. And South Carolina was the entry port. It was the port of entry. They got this big old museum down there now in Charleston that I'm a charter member of, the new museum that has all this information in there. And so one thing about being ignorant, there's lots of people ignorant by choice or ignorant just because they have not bumped into no information. And so I don't know if this individual is ignorant by choice or has not bumped into correct information.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have not bumped into it, and some people bump into it, but they want to create their own personal peace treaty, thinking that they're going to get a bigger slice of the, they're going to get more bread than everybody else. And
Yes.
so those are the people who sold out Nat Turner. I mean, you always have some people who believe that massa going to do better by them than they did by the rest of them because I'm special.
Right.
I mean, and so if he think he's going to get something from Trump, then he has a misunderstanding of the character of Donald Trump.
And that's what the Reverend Sharpton was saying.
That's right.
I'd just like to add here in terms of Nat Turner.
Yes.
How many of us know they ate him?
Well, that's where I got stuck at today because I read that piece.
They ate him.
I mean, because they believed they wanted to make sure he couldn't be born again.
That's right.
And when I read that piece, and I'm saying, oh, okay, I need to put this down and go get some water because they say when you're reading anything hard, you need to drink water so you can get your brain cells saturated with energy. So I'm drinking water here today. I mean, lots of it because I'm saying, wow. But I knew about the Emmanuel. There was another man up in the East Coast that also was born in bondage. But when he died, a doctor skinned him.
Yes.
And then they made a movie about it because I went to see it. It was a documentary about it, and I'll get the correct name for it so I can now announce it the next time. But but also that there was there was another project that this man he put together all of these places where they had lynched people and took the body parts, and the body parts used to be mailed out on the postcards. In Sanctuary was the name of the book. In Sanctuary.
Yes.
Okay, and so, but to read it here by Nat Turner, this,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
So now we know where they got the term calling Black people cannibalism.
Yeah, but before you go in, could you just go back and read what Harry Berry said? Because Harry Berry said something in Mecklenburg, South Carolina that you were getting ready to talk about. I think it's really important because what he talks about is the light. If you have it there, if not, we can get it when we go to break. But I think it's really important what he said about extinguishing the light.
Yeah. Henry Berry in that speech, he said that what we have to do is eliminate the light so that they don't even know the light is in them. And then we will be safe and they will be reduced to the beasts of the field. He said that God-given light that they have automatically, that, let me quote it, okay? He said, pass as severe laws as you will to keep these unfortunate creatures in ignorance. It is in vain unless you can extinguish that spark of intellect God has given them. So we have as far closed every avenue by which the light might enter their mind and have one step to go further to extinguish their capacity.
See, that's right.
The light.
The capacity to see
which is what you're saying. And then they'll be reduced to the beast of the field. They'll be safe.
And they would be safe. And everything that is happening in America.
Right now it's happening.
Right. And that's what it's still there, Doctor.
Yes.
Because when I was reading that this morning and I was thinking about, you know what I was thinking about, Doctor? I was thinking about your book and how we cut, and what has happened. And I thought about that short term of Motown music, bringing us out of that. Motown music was about love. I mean, yes. You had a few exceptions, but it was about, hey, save the last dance for me, get on the train, I mean, people get ready. I mean, all of this, it was that short time. And then people were coming out of it. And all of a sudden, what happened? Gangster rap came on, calling out women out of their names. And then, but before that, you had the Million Man March, and Farrakhan gave them marching orders. Go back, marry those babies' mamas, do this, do that, do that. And then what happened? Crack hit. And so getting ready for you today, I'm saying, man, look at this sojourn here. We were coming out of this stuff here with good music and good stuff. And all of a sudden, the exploitation movies came along, people acting like thugs, picking up guns and all of this stuff, social engineering us to be like the beast in the field. That's why I say it's like the beast in the field that you just read about, Doctor.
Yes. And I support the BIPOC movement, but that has a lot to do with it too.
Wow.
I would like to just end at this segment with this part.
Okay.
Dr. T. Owens Moore, who is one of the speakers at the conference on Saturday, March 16th, he wrote the foreword to my book, and he said, "The shock and awe of the enslavement process has never been analyzed, and the generational impact thoroughly associated with the trauma." And then he further said that that's how Marimba Ani, Dr. Ani,
oh yes,
she termed the phrase the Mayafa.
The Mayafa, yes.
And the Mayafa is an attempt to explain how these horrors were associated with the capture and the journey. And once they went through that process, the seasoning process to break them. So you got generations of trauma and identity crisis. And the conference is about when identity meets purpose. So what they talk about woke,
yes,
we have a spiritual awakening.
Right.
And we come back to that seed
of
light within us.
That's right. That seed.
And that's
I
what
like
the
that.
conference is about.
The seed of light within us. Let's take a break right there and come right back. You listen to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden. We'll be right back. Thank you.
The Mother's Justice Show is brought to you by H.G. Walden and the Virtues Healing Circles. Join us for Wisdom and Wellness with Reverend Walden, a monthly virtual and in-person healing circle that focuses on community healing and growth. Learn more at virtueshealing.com. That's virtueshealing.com. Also, be sure to join our healing group on Facebook. Again, visit us at virtueshealing.com today.
Start your Wednesday mornings off with a dose of courage. I'm Suzanne Weller. I'm hosting a new show called The Courage Effect. We'll be talking about what courage looks like, how we navigate what's getting in our way, and the opportunities that surface when we step out of our comfort zone. Each week, a new guest will join me to share stories about how they faced their fears, taken risks, and realized amazing things as a result. Please join us for The Courage Effect here on 1150 AM KKNW, Wednesdays at 8 a.m.
An alternative to everything else on your radio dial. Alternative Talk 1150.
Good afternoon. You're listening to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden. It's my joy to be on there. I want to thank Eric. Eric is my my studio manager. And if I don't send a good music list, he always has one for me. And hey, we need some respect here. So I'm going to give my Dr. Orisade some respect. She comes back on to continue to talk to us about the conference and her book, her research. And I just, for true transparency, I've done some of her classes on ancestral healing and clearing some of the energy because my ancestors live because I'm here. And my grandchildren are here. And so that line for us has not been broken. So many children didn't make it. So they're not here right now because their children didn't make it. But we are here because we made it. And so Dr. Orisade is going to come on and continue telling us about her research and her lived history, because she lives this. I mean, she knows it with her eyes closed. That's when you know something. All right, Dr. Orisade.
Okay, I just want to pick up on 2 points. And one is there was a Dr. Samuel Cartwright in 1845. He wasn't a psychologist. He was a physician. But he came up with a mental disorder called drapetomania. And what that meant was that slaves should be kept in a submissive state and treated like children with care and kindness to prevent them from running away from the plantation. If you ran away from the plantation, then you had a mental disorder called drapetomania. And likewise, his protege, Charles Carroll, who was a slave owner, professor at the University of Mississippi, he wrote a book called The Negro as a Beast. And they understood the monstrous theory belief. And they based everything on what they knew about or what they believed to be true about Christianity. They were supposedly, because the church gave it to them, and therefore we all know that we have been lynched and all of the other things because of what they believed God was telling them to do. However, Carol did explain that this has been handed down to us from the dark ages of ignorance, superstition, and crime. And because the church gave it to us, the devotees of the enlightened Christianity accepted it as sound. And I have this term called veil of ignorance. So his theory, monstrous theory, even though he knew that, and they try to say Black people were cursed because of Ham, he knew it wasn't true.
Right.
But
which doctor was that? Which doctor was this one?
Charles Carroll.
Oh, Carroll.
Ignorance of Beast. That's the name of that book.
Oh yeah, I have that. You sent it to me. The Negro, and it's hard to read, man. It's just terrible. I mean, it's 172 pages. I printed it out at the library because you sent me the yes. Okay, go ahead.
So this is where I'm gonna, in talking about the book, will be available at the conference, and it is online at Amazon. But the purpose of the conference, this is the 10th year, we are opening with a skit with Dr. James W.C. Pennington. Dr. James W.C. Pennington, and why I do ancestral healing, is because he is my great-great-great-grandfather. He was a slave that escaped Maryland, and he wrote in his book, I have many other deeply interesting particulars touching our family history, but I have detailed as many as prudence will permit on account of those family members who are south of the Mason and Dixon line. But I have faith in the hand that has dealt with us so strangely that all our remaining members in time will be brought together, and then the case may merit a reviewed and enlarged edition of this tract, The Fugitive Blacksmith, when other important matter will be inserted. And I am that person to insert that, is what my book is built upon, because he was my great-great-great-grandfather, the first Black man as a slave to receive an honorary degree from Yale in 1832 and the University of Heidelberg in Germany. We were there to celebrate at this conference at 10:30 a.m. We're going to open up with a skit, a play featuring characters of Frederick Douglass, Sojourner Truth, Harriett Tubman, and Pennington. And Pennington's role is being played by a young man who led the Pennington Legacy Group. He's 23 at Yale University. So this is how the dots connected for me. And this is ancestral healing.
Yes, I can see that. And one of the things that I know, I just with my work with you, is that the ancestors is really alive. I mean, because this information came to you out of all the rest of the descendants that's out there. It came to the one that's going to do something with it. I mean, some people hide it under their basket. Some people, do something else. And then one person will carry the light.
That's
right. And you are that person who are carrying the light. I mean, Yale has had to do some adjustments.
As a result of it, they just apologized for slavery.
Well, yes, but also they were using his work and not realizing that he had descendants.
That's right.
And you are one of his descendants. In fact, your picture resembles him.
Yeah.
But this is what the continuity of time is. I mean, time is not the way we believe it. It's not like looking at the clock and say it's going to be here. I got about 15 minutes. A few minutes before the show is over. It's not that kind of time.
Right.
It's another kind of time that comes through another dimension.
Right.
And so doing work with the Ancestral Healing Conference and doing this kind of work on. And I want to commend you on 10 years of doing this work here in Seattle. I mean, Seattle is a hard place to do something in. If you could,
I know it is. It is.
It really is. But but that continuity of time and just to think about it, because you and I come together on a lot of different we intersect a lot of different ways, and
Yes.
one of it is with the ancestors, because I truly believe them. I believe in them, and I believe that they keep carrying us.
Yeah.
They keep carrying us, and so I'm excited about this conference, because anything that can wake our people up to understand, no, you're glorious, because what you've been through and you still here.
Yes.
That's why we authentically love you. We want to
Yes.
love you out of these conditions that you are in.
That's right.
Because you're glorious. You
Thank
survived.
you. Thank
You
you.
know, and so I'm really excited about the conference. I've gone to every last one of them, and I'll be there.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's going to be at Langston Hughes, and
right.
people can go to the website and get tickets. It's www.iactnow0119.com.
Want to say it again, please?
www.iact as in Tom, NOW0119.com.
0119. Also, this is a podcast. Probably later on today or tomorrow, you can be able to listen to this to our podcast, Mother's Podcast. You know, so
Okay,
yeah.
great.
But, what I'm excited about is I'm excited about your journey and how you got into this, and how you just heard those voices, and you just knew that this model that's using in America for us discounted us in so many ways, did not understand us. And Dr. Joy Leary wrote the book about the post-traumatic slave syndrome. It took her a long time to be able to get that book, because nobody wanted her to do the work. And now her work has been the basic of a lot of this stuff, talking about trauma handed down through so her work sparred a lot of things, but she had a hard time trying to get a PhD. Trying to get that book published about the traumatic slave syndrome. And now your book and what you're doing, it just adds to this even more, because it was traumatic.
It was.
It
was traumatic.
Yeah, but what empowers me, Dr. Orisade, is our spirituality.
That's what our strength is.
Our strength. And now since COVID, we have a whole body of people who are unbelievers. Really COVID, somebody said it was whatever. It's a lot of theories out there. But what it did is that, people are not, and then our young children, so many of them have been raised up without any belief system at all. And so that means if you don't believe in the strength of what got your people through, then you are doomed to repeat what's going to happen again if you're not awake. See, and that's what that T-shirt about that talking about for that. But the most important thing about the word nigger, it came by Nora Webster. He added the extra GER to it in the 1700s, because NIG coming out of Egypt meant God.
Right.
NIG, and then NUG in Ethiopia means God.
Yes.
See, and so they added this to it to corrupt it, and most people don't know what it means. So that's why it won't die, because the beginning of the word NIG still has a high meaning to it. And if I could ever get to some of these rappers, I'm going to tell them that, so when they rapping, they'll understand that they calling on the Most High. And take that derogatory from it. But I'm just so proud of your work. I just want to commend you on your scholarship, and follow through on that, and having the vision to see that we can be healed in a different way.
Yes.
Because most Black people don't. I went to a couple therapists, and it's like, man, they don't have a clue what I'm going through.
Well, because in that world, we're trained under the Freudian concept of psychoanalysis. But what people don't know about Freud is I debunked his theory, but he got his theories from Kemet, from the Code of Ma'at. So he borrowed the principles and turned it into his psychosexual theory based on Ase and Aset, which the Greek called Osiris and Isis, which is where the Oedipus complex came from. And he, if you look him up, you'll see that on his desk is nothing but African artifacts.
Wow.
So Freud did not come up with psychoanalysis. He was a failed neurologist. And so he went in a different area under the Mental Deficiency Act of 1913 in London, because he had his own problems. They didn't want him anywhere. But I just want to make that clear to people. That is where psychotherapy comes from. So when you have that premise and they don't understand the spiritual mysteries from those schools in Kemet and the Enoch temples, then you come up with mental disorders that were voted on, not even science-based. And those are disorders for African people that are a direct result of assimilation and acculturation.
That's right. That's right. You know, and I think sometimes I think there was a splitting of the spirit, because you had to do something to live through all of this.
That's right.
You
had to.
You had to do something to live through all of this degradation. So you had to be able to go somewhere in your mind.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You know, you had to, believe that the people could fly. I mean, you had to go somewhere in your mind in order to stay here on the planet, because it was so brutal,
Yes. And ancestral healing helps you to go within and bring your divine self forward.
Yes.
So psychotherapy, and for those people who have been diagnosed with a disorder, that is a system for you to vent and realize what is it. So say it's bipolar. What's causing it? Well, you only can really know, not with medication, not that anyone shouldn't continue with whatever they're doing. But when you go into the ancestral healing approach, that will help you understand why you're bipolar. Right. That's the healing.
That's the healing, because there's a connection somewhere.
Yes.
There's a connection somewhere, because there's because every mother whose child was stolen and crying, that mother is still crying in us.
That's right.
I mean, that voice is, just like those children. We see it in modern day, doctor, with the children who've been separated from their parents down in down at the border. That's what modern day slavery looked like, because the children will never see their mothers again. I mean, and the mothers, some of those mothers commit suicide because they will never see their children again. You know what I mean? And so really, I mean, so modern day slave-like stuff was happening in front of our eyes, and the people who were running the system couldn't even put it together. It's the same issue that these children will have, all these issues that we have in so many ways. Being separated from your parents, see.
Yeah.
And the trauma behind that, because the newborns or the little children who were still babies, they missed their mother's heartbeat, see. And that's what new science tells you about the mother's heartbeat. See, that's how a baby knows who their mama is.
That's the drama of the soul. That's right.
That's right. That's right. And that's why this is such a good spiritual project. And I'm just so excited to, to be just a little part of it. And taking some of the classes and understanding how to get in touch with that. Because we all got deep sorrow somewhere, doctor.
Yes.
We all got and the other people do. I mean, they're not trying to heal theirs. They want to create more trauma. But on some levels, I mean, no, not everybody is doing that, but a group of people are, and they determined. But I'm glad that you've been so determined on this conference and doing this work, and sometimes it's a lonely journey when you're trying to do work, and I understand that.
It is a lonely journey. It is. It is a lonely journey, because the younger people that are going in the field of mental health, they don't have a clue.
No.
And so they're going to go with what they've been taught, even though they're talking about, Black people or this and mental illness. You're still in the same system. You have to
right.
You have to look at alternative.
Right, because the irony is that we're being taught by the people who continue to bring us mental illness.
That's right.
Because it's not like the system changed and everybody said, "Oh, we're so sorry, we're not going to ever do it again. No. How can we repair this?" It's not. The damage is still going on.
Right.
You know, the damage is still going on. Not one Black history to be taught in the schools, and I mean all of this stuff. I mean, so that damage, it just compounds it more and more, and the weaker our people gets, the less tools they have to know their greatness. See, you
Yes.
know their greatness, and this is what your work is doing, is will also help people to connect to that greatness. And I maintain for Black History Month that most everything that makes America great was made by Black people.
Right.
I mean that lunar landing the other day was made possible by Katherine Johnson.
Yes.
Without Katherine Johnson, there would be no space program.
Hmm.
Without Charles Drew, it wouldn't be no blood transfusion and all of this stuff that goes on for people. It would not be
Yeah,
that.
it's amazing, isn't it? All of
Yeah,
the
all of it.
things.
Yeah.
Without I can't think of his name, it wouldn't have been no Thomas Edison.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Who created
No.
the filament that went into the light bulb,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and Henson was the first guy up on the North Pole. I mean, because
Yeah.
the other guy didn't make it up there. And coltan is in the cell phone that comes out of the Congo. Without coltan, none of this stuff would be going on right now, because you wouldn't
Yeah.
have you get that from there, and on and on and on and on. And
Yeah.
so you're following in the tradition of your ancestors.
I am. I am.
Just being brilliant. I mean, our kids were
Thank you.
programmed now not to be smart. I mean, somebody said to somebody was saying, "Oh, what you acting like white?" They said, "No, it was the intellect of the Black people who saved America."
That's
George
right.
Washington Carver, he saved the agriculture in the South by teaching them how to rotate crops.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I think that, that is so true. And I think that the challenge now is AI.
Oh,
And
oh,
I just
oh,
think that
oh! It's terrible.
they
It's
have a
terrible.
system up in Iceland where they call it the Ensoling Project.
They killing some Black people to get their soul.
Well, they don't know what the soul is.
I'm just
They're
talking
to
about
make the
teasing.
robot a humanoid. That is dangerous.
Well, you know what?
It's
What
dangerous.
it is dangerous, but what we have to teach, doctor, is that our GPS is God, and we
That's
have
right.
the best. We don't need artificial intelligence,
Oh, that's
because the
right.
Creator
Mhm.
gave us real intelligence. So
Yeah,
why would I need artificial intelligence when I
right,
have my own GPS, and it's called intuition?
right,
And
right.
and the slaves had to have it. They had to have precognition. They had to be able to see what the future held. They had to be able to do that. See, and I believe in precognition. See, I
Yeah,
believe in it. And so my mantra is that I have GPS. I have intuition. I don't need artificial intelligence. I don't need nothing like that. Okay, it's not for spiritually minded people. Okay, it's not at
that's
all.
true.
Yeah, yeah. You wanted to announce one more time about the conference and the time and the locations before our time is over?
Well, I just would encourage people to, again, go to the website, and the conference will be at Langston Hughes on March 16th. And you can get your tickets at Eventbrite.
And it's a 1 day conference or a 2 day conference?
Well, the main events are on
On
Saturday, but
Saturday.
it's 2 days. It's
Okay.
Saturday and Sunday.
Sunday. Okay. All
Yeah,
right. Yep.
yeah,
Well, and then Langston Hughes is in the heart of the community, and
yeah.
I'm so glad that you're doing this, and I'm so glad that I'm going to be there and be part of it in some small way. But I appreciate you coming on my show, Doctor.
Thank you so much.
I really do. So take care, and I'll see you soon. All right.
All right.
All right. Thank you. You've been listening to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm your host from Walden. Take care. Have a great week. All right. Thank you. Catch us on the podcast too. Thanks.